The 2025 AP Coach of the Year is Mike Vrabel.
Wait, what? Mike Vrabel? I don't even know who that is. Mike Vrabel won Coach of the Year? Are you kidding? Oh, Mike Vrabel. That makes more sense. Man, NFL Honors really needs to vet the people saying the names of the winners, because this somehow wasn't even the worst flub of the night. But yeah, I got no problem with this. The Patriots were an absolute mess last year and were playing for the #1 pick in the NFL draft under head coach Jerod Mayo. Then, after Mayo gets fired following one of the worst seasons in Patriots history, and arguably the worst one since 1990, Mike Vrabel comes in and immediately rights the ship. Yeah, the schedule wasn't the toughest, but you can't deny a turnaround that takes you from 4-13 and last in the division to 13-4 and atop the AFC East, and a turnaround that takes you from the 22nd best defense to the 4th, and a turnaround that takes you from the 30th best offense to the 2nd best offense with a second-year quarterback who was one vote shy of winning the MVP. There were a lot of deserving candidates for Coach of the Year this year, from Ben Johnson to Mike McDonald to Liam Cohen, but I'm fine with Vrabel winning this award. And after all of that, Vrabel was able to get his team to the Super Bowl, as a team that had plus 8,000 odds of winning it all entering the season was just one game away from the title. This is Vrabel's time to shine. Games like these are why he won Coach of the Year and won this regular season honor. It's because he was great at in-game management. It's because he knows and truly understands the situation at hand. It's because after this touchdown pass, they got the Pats on the board in the 4th quarter, he finally found a flaw in Seattle's defense and was going to spark one of the greatest comebacks in NFL history and draw up an incredible 2-point play to cut it to an 11-point game, and was going to make the Seahawks sweat a little bit and was going to have the second coming of the 28-3 game. And
instead they try the extra point with Corrales, who knocks it in to make it a 19-7 game.
He kicked the extra points. It got it to 12. The Coach of the Year kicking to turn a 13-point game into a 12-point game in the 4th quarter? Screw it. Welcome to dumb decisions. Before I break down what happened here, this whole series is about taking an in-depth look at decisions made during games that were clearly awful from the start. This isn't something to look bad in hindsight. Rather, this is something to look awful almost immediately. These are moves where gut instinct tells you right away that there is no way this can possibly work. And sure enough, your gut instinct was smarter than that of an NFL head coach. And for this one, we're taking a look at the mind of New England Patriots head coach, Mike Vrabel. And I want to make it extremely clear before going any further on a couple of points. Number one, Vrabel did a heck of a job getting the Patriots to this point, and he deserves his flowers. But number two, this is one of the worst coaching decisions I have ever seen at the Super Bowl. And I do not say that lightly. It's up there with the clock management that Seattle Seahawks head coach Mike Holmgren had at the end of the first half of Super Bowl 40 against the Pittsburgh Steelers, which you can learn more about by clicking the card in the upper right corner. I'm not saying the Patriots win this game if Mike Vrabel goes for 2, because they still had some work to do, but their chances of winning improved tremendously. I'll put it that way. So with that being said, let's take a look at why going for the extra point down by 13 in the 4th quarter of the Super Bowl is a really bad idea. And the best way to break this down is to look at the best case scenario and the worst case scenario for each option. Let's start with option 1, which is what just about anyone not named Mike Vrabel or Mike Vrabel would have done in this spot. And that is to go for 2. If you get the 2-point conversion, you're now down by 11 points instead of 13. Obviously, you still have a lot of work to do, but 11 seems more manageable. By being down 11 points, you need a touchdown with a 2-point conversion and a field goal to equalize. Odds are you're only going to get 2 more quality possessions the rest of the way. It'd be an entirely different scenario if this was the first half, or the game was going at such a rate where you'd be able to touch the ball more often. But at this juncture, with about 12 minutes to go, you're not going to have many more opportunities to score. And that's especially true when on offense, you've been sputtering all day. Prior to that touchdown drive, the Patriots had a whopping 78 yards of offense all day, averaging 7.8 yards per drive, which obviously is abysmal. Only one drive went for longer than 15 yards. This comes out to not even one first down per drive. And up until that touchdown drive, the last first down for the Patriots came in the second quarter before Bad Bunny even got on stage and before Lee Bryce was talking about how he wanted to kiss his fish. So if you had a chance to get 2 yards on one play, and you get it, and now all you need is one touchdown instead of two, that works to your benefit. If we assume the average touchdown drive is 75 yards, and you need 2 touchdowns, you need to go 150 yards the rest of the way, which again, good luck with that when you had 78 yards of offense on your first 10 drives and went 3 and out at an ungodly rate, to the point where you could go to the bathroom when the drive started, and by the time the drive ended, you'd see the Patriots punting it away. But if you only need a touchdown with a 2-point conversion and a field goal, then you only need roughly 110 yards the rest of the way to not be trailing anymore. Not an ideal spot, obviously, but a heck of a lot better than needing 2 touchdowns and roughly 150 yards. You shave 40 yards off of what you need. It's like anything in life involving distance. If you're in a hurry, you want the shorter number because that's more attainable. If you need to be somewhere, would you rather have it take 1 hour to get to your destination or 2 hours? You want the first option because when we're talking distance, the shorter the number, the easier it is to achieve. If you need to make a putt in golf, would you rather have it be a 10-foot putt or a 25-foot putt? Is it easier to shoot a layup or a 3-pointer? You get the idea. Again, if you fail the 2-point conversion, you need 2 touchdowns. But if you get it, there's a chance you might not need to get 2 touchdowns. And I should also note during all of this that I'm not even factoring in the possibility that you miss the extra point, because it's a perfectly clear night with no noticeable wind to speak of. And your kicker is hitting 97% of his extra points on the season. So if you don't get the 2-point conversion and you're down 13, then 2 touchdowns with the extra point will give you what you need, since you're not missing that. But now, let's look at what this man right here, Mike Vrabel, decided to do for some inexplicable reason that was never elaborated on afterwards in the post-game presser. And that is, kick the extra point to cut it to a 12-point game. In the worst-case scenario where the extra point misses, which again, that wouldn't happen because your kicker, Borregales, is automatic on those, and the conditions were ideal for kicking, but in the worst-case scenario, you're down 13. If we assume he makes the extra point, the worst-case scenario is that you're down 12. But in the best-case scenario, and like I said, really the only scenario, you're down 12. Football is a game of possessions, not points. Because here's the problem. If you're down 12, guess what you need? You need 2 touchdowns. The possibility before of only needing to have a good drive and a half, that's out the window. You now need 2 good drives to get the job done against this Seahawks defense that held you to roughly 25 yards per quarter over the first 3 quarters of the game. You know how hard it was to cross the end zone? How awful it was being shut out across the first 3 quarters, making you one of just a handful of teams to have that happen to in the Super Bowl? Now, you guaranteed the fact that in order to win the Super Bowl, you need to do that 2 more times, with no margin for error whatsoever. In other words, the best case scenario by going for 2 is that if you get it, you don't need 2 touchdowns. The worst case scenario by going for 2 is that if you don't get it, you need 2 touchdowns. Meanwhile, with the extra point, the best case scenario is that if you get it, you need 2 touchdowns. The worst case scenario with the extra point is that if you don't get it, but really I'm not even considering that, but if you kick the extra point, you need 2 touchdowns. At this juncture in the game, There is quite literally no difference between being behind by 13 points and being behind by 12. But the difference between those two numbers and 11 points is gigantic. Possessions, not points. Why intentionally make things harder on yourself? Why intentionally take the field goal away? Why take that possibility away? Why force yourself to win the game late by going 40 additional yards that you didn't need to go if you just went and got 2 yards earlier at no risk to you whatsoever? By kicking the extra point, the best case scenario from a possession standpoint and a knowing what you need standpoint, and from a how many touchdowns you need to get back in this thing standpoint, is the exact same as the worst case scenario in going for 2. The only way anything material changes about your situation, and the only way anything changes in a positive way for you, is if you went for 2 and you got it. Otherwise, the points in a vacuum are completely and utterly irrelevant. And I have no idea how Vrabel didn't recognize that. But here we were with Mike Vrabel being completely unable to do basic math at the Super Bowl. Not trusting your offense to get 2 yards on one play, yet trusting your offense to get an additional 40 yards on an extra drive with time winding down and limited possessions available at your disposal, especially with the way your offense was playing, knowing it was obvious passing downs, and your offensive line, which was struggling all day, would likely be struggling even more because the Seahawks know what's coming? Not sure I understand that strategy at all. Just goes to show you that even the best coaches forget how to do math. Because I know on this one that the math was not mathing. So what did we learn from all of this? In the fourth quarter, if you have 2 options and one of them reduces the number of quality possessions you need to have in order to get back in the game, and the other option does not do that, and it comes at no risk to you whatsoever, then take the option that helps you out. If you have 2 options and one of them poses a significantly better best case scenario than the other one, while they both pose the exact same worst case scenario, then take the first option. Football is a game of possessions, not points. And just because you can get a bigger number doesn't mean it's always the right thing to do. And if you are coaching the Super Bowl against a great team and under one of the brightest lights imaginable, then you better make sure you know how to do basic math. Because when all of these elements are in play, you can't exactly be surprised when this play backfires. Talk about a dumb decision. Check out our live streaming schedule for the next few days. We're live every single day on this channel, whether we're covering a sporting event or playing GeoGuessr or just taking your requests. So make sure you like and subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss a single time that we go live and so that you can join this community. Also, thanks to all our members and our Patreon supporters, who get exclusive perks like their name at the end of each video, members-only Q&A streams, and cool emojis to use on videos and during streams. See how you can join this community and become a member or a Patreon member by clicking the link in the description below.